I wanted to make a video about a robot concept that I've been working on. This is a balancing trike robot. It's got 3 wheels and it balances on the back 2 wheels. In this particular example, at the top, you see these 2 wheels mounted at the very top of this robot. This is, I'm kind of referring to this as 1 wheel, even though there's 2 wheels. This could just as easily be 1 wheel. I just happen to like the way the 2 wheels look on this model. But this is a virtual reality or an augmented reality role-playing robot, and this is a very minimalist approach to the XR role-playing robots that I've been playing with. This this down at the very bottom, you have these. These are the femurs, and these are about half-length femurs. They're not full-length femurs. You have these balancing wheels on the left and right side, and it balances just like any other little 2-wheeled balancing robot you've seen all over the internet. Up here, you have your pelvis. Then these segments are your lowest 5 segments of the spine. On top of the segments, you have the drive box, a 2-axis drive box, and up here at the top, you have the sternum wheels, I guess if you want to call them that. Here's, you can see it a little bit better from the back over here. You can start to see more angles. And the thing about this robot is it can balance. It balances and it moves about. And it can be mobile, but it can also steady itself using its sternum wheels. It can steady itself against the floor, or it can even steady itself against the wall like this. Um, if you're interacting with this robot, or if you're playing a role-playing game or whatever is going on, this robot could represent a character in your real-life augmented reality or virtual reality role-playing game. And with regards to the sternum on top, you actually wouldn't be committed to the sternum wheels. You could actually have anything up there that you wanted, um, depending on what your application was. Taking a look at the tracking I hope to use with this little balancing trike robot, I have these little dots. These green dots represent what I would try to track, not whether you're using some sort of vive tracker or you're using some sort of marker on top of these. You could track the sternum, but you most definitely want to track the pelvis. You may not need to track the sternum. You could track the sternum, but you don't need to. If you wanted to pin a top to this little robot, you could pin it to the pelvis track, or you could pin it to the sternum track, depending on how just what you want to any way you want to do it. I think that since the sternum is actually going to be doing a lot of steadying, it might not be a great idea to pin the top to the sternum. This because it's going to be acting as like a it's going to be just the third wheel. It's going to be steadying the robot up against the wall, or it might be steadying the robot against the floor. Pinning the sternum to that might not be that realistic, and you may find that you just want to pin the top of the character to the pelvis and animate whatever torso motion there is on that. Pinning the legs isn't going to be required, but because the leg bones on the robot are actually shorter than the real life legs of the character, your legs are going to end up looking like they go into the floor a little bit. I don't think I really care about that. I think it'll just kind of look a little different. It won't look bad. So I don't really care about that. If you care about that, then you might not want to pin legs to this robot, or you might want to just use it in VR. So that's how I expect tracking to work with this balancing trike robot. Let's take a look in Blender and do a little walkthrough of the physiology of this robot. I know I mentioned that we got our wheels down here at the bottom. These are going to be your balancing wheels. Those will balance the robot when you're balancing or mobiling around. I borrowed from my quad. If I put this in pose mode, I'll just show you how this actuates here. Here you can turn this axis on both sides, and then this, if I look at it from the side, you can turn this axis. So you'll have 4 motors on this general area here, actuating the pelvis. Then if we throw in the segments, this is 2-axis segment, you can see I cut down my 4-axis drive box to a 2-axis drive box since I won't be needing all 4 axes. And if I go into pose mode on this armature, I'll just show you that this is going to be, it'll be able to move like this so that it can, I don't really expect to be able to use these segments to react to for balancing, but if you're in a non-balancing mode, if the robot is steadying itself against the wall or against the floor, against another obstacle, then it will be able to position this in meaningful ways, hopefully to animate the robot or to do a performance of some kind. Put that back here. Then on top of these segments, you have the sternum. This will be these are freewheeling wheels at the top. They turn. There's no drive on them. I would like to see maybe the possibility of throwing a brake on these wheels so that they can hold their position if I want to do something in particular. But for now, they're going to wheel freely and allow the robot to this top of this robot to freely motion against whatever obstacle it's touching. Now, the last thing I want to show you is how I might deal with the unfortunate circumstances that I just can't squeeze as many motors onto this thing as I would like to. My goal is to have 8 motors total, 2 here on the top of the segments, and then 2 on the left and 2 on the left and 2 on the right of the pelvis, and then of course 2 more down here at the balancing wheels for the entire robot, making a total of 8. If I can't squeeze all those motors onto this because for whatever reason they're too heavy or just take up too much space and I can't get it the way I want, then I want it to have a plan in place. We'll just take these motors out of here and let's take away these little gears I have, and I want to show you these little locking things I have. In the event that I have to reduce the motors, I am either going to take out all 4 of the motors on the pelvis or maybe just 2 of the motors on the pelvis. I could drive just the x-axis or I could drive just the z-axis of each leg. I would leave, of course, the pelvis motors up here on the top, and then I would leave the 2 motors down here on the balancing axis. But let's take a look at these really cool locks that I came up with. I got 2 discs, and each disc, I've got an inside disc and an outside disc, and this would allow me to actually set and lock this axis according to what I want to do. If I want to lower this robot down, or if I want to turn these legs in, I could loosen the nut that goes into this double slot here, position the axis the way that I'd like to. For example, if I can click on this, there we go. You can see that the purple wheel and the black wheel in the background, I can position this axis anywhere I want, and I have almost 180 degrees of rotation on that, depending on how I line it up. And then I would just, and then I would just tighten that bolt up, and it would that axis, that limb would hold that position, and I would be able to do whatever I wanted with whatever programming I was doing on the rest of it. Taking a look at this axis, if I turn that, you can see I have the similar, you can see the red disc underneath, and I could position the black disc over the red disc, and I could lock that axis into any pose and just continue programming or animating whatever I'm doing. So that's what I'm going to do if I can't squeeze all the motors onto this thing that I want to. And that's that. Thanks for watching my video.